Right guys, welcome back to the Regal Gentleman YouTube channel. Today we've got Kai in the chair. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good.
You good?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what are we doing today? What can I do?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I've been trying to grow it out for a while, and I'm sort of making up the styles as I go along on a daily basis.
Okay.
It's got to that sort of awkward stage where I have no clue what to do.
Okay.
But summer's here, and I want it to look the best for the next few months. So I'm willing to kind of like pause the process, or even take a little bit of a step back, just to get a good style.
Okay.
And then probably continue growing it again over the winter.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, that's a good choice to do actually. What did you grow it out for in the first place?
No reason other than I've never grown my hair long before, and I thought it would be a good idea to try it, just to see what it looks like. And it's still my main goal. And
what is the end goal? What is the?
Don't know. As far as my hair will grow, probably to maybe about here.
Really?
Of thing.
Okay.
Try and see what it looks like.
Yeah, definitely.
Into Viking.
That'd be quick. You're gonna go with the beard as well,
absolutely.
or yeah, nice. Okay. Well, I think looking at it straight away, it looks top heavy. Yeah. Okay. And what I mean by that is it looks like there's an awful lot of length through here and not as much through the sides, which you can kind of see by the way it's going out. And that's probably one of the reasons why you're struggling, is because there's no balance within the haircut. Now that could be from the previous haircut, that could be the top grows faster than the sides and the back. I don't really know, but it doesn't matter because we're at that stage now anyway. So all we need to do really, if you want to keep going with it and want to keep growing, then you could balance this whole haircut out, which would make it a lot easier to style as well. So we could add some movement to it, which basically is done, which I'll explain as we're going through. So if you have a listen, you'll know what we're doing as we get through it. But we've done a few of these already on camera, where we're trying to maintain length, and that's the goal, isn't it? Because we could take you back a few weeks. I don't think you'd notice it that much within longer hair. I think if we went back a couple of months, you'd notice it, but a couple of weeks when you got longer hair, you don't really notice it that much. Yeah. And I feel as though it'd just be a waste, really, personally. But what we can do is start to give you what looks like a haircut at this length more than what looks like you've grown it out from a different hairstyle. And I think if you can do that, then even when you're making up the haircuts as you go along, hopefully even the styles that you're creating look good. That's the main thing, right? Because obviously at the minute it's fallen central. So when you came through the door, now this is the God's honest truth, I've only met you since you sat in the chair. Yeah. I don't get to see, Liam does all that, I don't get to see anyone who walks in, and I find it better that way because I'm a lot more honest and a lot more on the spot, which I feel these consultations go better that way. And I always do like what is called a cold read, just a natural thing to do. I see you walk in, I see what you're wearing, and I see your haircut, and I'm like, does that go? And that is my first thought, is does the haircut go with the clothes that you're wearing? I know obviously it's hard to say because it's summer, well, summerish, and obviously shorts, kind of like sweater, it's not really something that you'd always wear every single day, is it? But you still want a haircut that's going to suit that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, or maybe a hairstyle that you could wear it into this kind of to match the outfit as well. I think the centre part, personally, doesn't work for you. I don't think. At this length as it is now. It might do if it's a bit shorter. It might work okay. But I think what we need to do is give you, I think more of an off-centre part would work better for you. If you're going to wear it off, if you're going to wear it into a part, for example, like that. I think a little bit more height suits your face shape better as well. If you look at it like that, and obviously we need to get rid of some of this. Yeah. If you look at that, but then you look at down the middle, it doesn't look the same, does it? Even if you were to wear it over this way, it'd look quite nice as well, because that's the kind of way your hair wants to naturally fall by the looks of it. Okay. So I think if we were to break up the back and side so it falls a little bit nicer, falls more in balance as well, maybe we could get away with taking the neck down a touch as well. Yeah. These little bits here, because the neckline, because it's the longest point of the hairline down the very bottom, that is probably going to look longer than the sides because there's more of it and it's longer, it's lower down. Yeah. So it can start to look mullety, right? Yeah. It start to get that mullet effect. It's coming back, but it's not everyone's first choice of hairstyle. So if we're just to, let me just get my comb. So if we are to separate the top to the sides, okay, which we do based on the round of the head. So usually from the recession, we comb it over like that. And as you can see, that's the sort of sides, and that's the top, right? Where it splits nice and easy, like that, right? So if we're looking at that on the side, I'll do it to the camera as well. I'll show you in a second. You can see there's a lot more bulk here. Even though that's probably exactly the same length, because of how much more hair there is at the back and how low down the hairline is, that's what's making it look almost like a mullet, right? If we were to take that top short and left the back, that would be a mullet, right? So what we want to do is we want to try and keep as much of the length on the sides, because they are obviously they're so narrow, the sides on everybody. There's a lot less hair on the sides here, and we have to play catch up On any sort of style that we go for when it's longer, we have to play catch up on the sides because it's always really high compared to the neck. There's not much of it, right, on the sides. So we need to leave as much length as there is in the sides. So there's a good little technique I can show you how to do that. But then we need to take the back down. Not down enough that it starts to look unbalanced. We don't want it to be maybe tapering the neck or something. We want to still keep some length in there, but we don't need all of these kind of wings that are kind of flying out. It looks nice with the kind of flicks. I think you're never going to get away from them, unfortunately. If you don't mind, then that's great. But some people don't like the flicks. They're the things that make people feel as though it looks untidy. But unfortunately, at this length and the foreseeable future, until you get a lot more length in it, you're going to have the flicks. Yeah. So I think you have to just kind of enjoy them and learn to love them if you don't. But over time, they will drop out because obviously there'll be more hair there. Then when it comes to the top, here's where you can see the balance is off. So we take a section from the top and we bring it down to the sides. We pull it out. There's the sides underneath and there is the top sitting over it. So there's a very big disconnection from the sides to the top. Now, the best way to do this, to balance it, is just to connect the top into the sides. Very simple thing to do, but it makes such a big difference. So there isn't an awful lot of hair that's going to come off, but what does come off, you'll notice, and it'll be really beneficial from not just for now, but as the haircut grows out too. Yeah. So if that's what you want to do, cool. If you want to take more length off, that's not a problem as well. But if you want to try and maintain the length, that is what I would recommend. Yeah. Okay. I'll leave it in your hands. Yeah. All right then. Cool. Sounds good.
I've seen enough of your videos to trust you.
Famous last words, you know, mate. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. Let's do that. What I recommend then. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. We'll get you gowned up and then we'll get you started. All right. So, Kai's hair is nice and wet, and we are going to put it into a horseshoe section. Now, the horseshoe section is, I know everyone knows what it is, but for people who don't know what it is, what I'm doing is I'm just creating a separation from the top to the back and sides, and it just so happens to look like a horseshoe. All right. So, what we do, brush the hair back so we can see the hairline at the front. Now, this is what we call the recession point. Okay, this here is the recession point. It's where your hair recedes. Everybody has one. Doesn't mean you're going bald. Everybody has a recession point. It's just what the name of it is, right? Now, I always start from the right hand side because I'm right-handed. Okay, and I just find the flow is better going from right to left. So, separating it from the hairline, we bring it around. Now, again, the start of the video, if you're a non-skipper and you don't just skip from the before to the after, you'll have seen that we separated the sides from the top, just as we were talking to you and to Kai about the disconnection at the top. Now, it will naturally part really easily at the right point. So it's usually at the round of the head, it's usually from the recession point all the way back. And as you can see, I've only got water, there's no clips in this, I'm not putting clips anywhere. I'm just using that natural part to be able to section it away. Now it does fall nice and easy. See? From there. So that's what you're looking for as well. If you go too low, it will force itself back down. Or if you go too high, it will force itself out of the parting. Whereas if you get it exactly on the round of the head, from the recession point, just below the crown, it will naturally fall into place. Bring it all into the middle like so, and just twist it around just to stop it from falling into his face. A bit more comfortable that way. There we go. So there is my horseshoe section, okay? Like so. Now, we want to keep as much of the sides as we possibly can, because again, they're the bits that do take the longest time to grow. So what you do on this one is a nice little trick actually to balance the sides and also kind of act as a guide as well to the back to allow you to still balance everything in, is just make sure the hair is nice and wet. So it's wet enough that you can still see the teeth of the comb coming through it, and you can manipulate it nicely as well. There we go. Now usually just behind the ear is where it turns into the back of the head, okay? Just right there. Right, where that starts to fall like that, right there, okay? What we do, we bring everything to this section, from the front all the way to the back. Now normally I'd be bringing it into the middle like so, to cut that, but I don't want to take length from the middle of this. I want to keep as much length as I possibly can on the side, so I'm bringing everything to that section. So if you look from the top, Liam, everything's being over-directed to here. So all this length is being over-directed here. As you can see at the front here, there's hardly anything coming through. If I point my fingers through, there's the front, there's the hairline, hardly anything's coming through, and everything through here is coming to the back, okay? So we bring this across, pull it out, and we cut. Same again, pull everything from the front hairline back to that section. So you're level with the section. And what you do is you leave all the length through here, but you start to give yourself a guide for the back that we can take it to. Okay, so that's shorter there than here. Pull it out, and you see the difference in length? All that length's been kept. So if you have a look at what angle we're cutting it on, it's on this angle. So we've pulled everything back. Okay, so what we've done is maintained all the length through here, and we've created a shorter guide at the back. And that way, we'd have to worry about taking the sides too short, and they're all going to blend in because we've got a guide from here. Okay, now 2 fingers in width because we still want to maintain some length. If I was doing a finger in width, that we go quite short. 2 fingers is like a shorter length. 3 fingers is obviously keeping a lot more length in through the sides as well. As you can see, I've pretty much done almost like 3 fingers section just there. So we do 2 fingers from the section, and that's a good way, a good indicator of how wide our sections need to be. We pull from that previous section here, bring it in to the middle. There we go, there's our guide. Now it looks like a lot's coming off. Don't forget, the section's wide, so there'll still be a lot of length left in this as well. Bring it in from the previous section, just scoop it in, right into the middle, pull it out, there's our guide. There we go. So you can start to see it a bit more now. There's the length staying on the sides. It's cut a bit short into the neck, but as we bring this back, it all blends in to itself. See? Like that, pull it to the middle, there's our guide. Pulling in from the previous section into the middle, pulling it straight out, there's our guide. You see I'm pulling it straight into the middle. You see as you pull this out like this, you see where there's a lot of length left in that middle bit here. So you see all that length coming off through here, but not as much coming from the top and the bottom. But as you can see, we've took some length off. So it's looking like there's been cut. And like I said to Kai at the start, I want this to look like a haircut he's had cut into this length, not a haircut that he's been growing it out into. And by doing this, this is what this type of technique will create for Kai. It will make it look like it's meant to be at this length because we've put balance and structure into it. But what we've also done is maintained pretty much all the length. So what Kai will see in length we've kept on the sides, he won't even know. So obviously he'll know now because we've explained it in depth, but if you were to just get the client in and say, look, leave it to me, the client will look and see the sides are still there. There's still just as much length in there as it was when he came in. He'll notice that bits are obviously gone shorter. Doesn't know why, doesn't know where, but he'll know that it looks better. And that's what this technique does. Slightly over for me, buddy. There we go. And everything into the middle, like so. Pull that into the middle. There's our guide. And then the final section is the sides. Just keeping the same consistency of the hair being wet. We do, pull this back, all the way back into that section behind the ear. There we go. There we go. As we pull it out, put the same angle as before. Now what we'll do is we'll cut into the perimeter. Now I call this the perimeter, okay? Because the lowest part of the haircut, so it shows off the edges of the haircut, okay? And that's what I want to kind of cut into a bit more. So what we'll do, we'll work down, taking this a bit shorter through here. Make sure nothing's caught in the neck collar. Just scoop it up one time, and then a point cut into this. I'm going to take the middle bit a bit shorter, just because we're giving a bit more strength towards the edges here. It'll better for the look, especially front on. Like so. Again, I don't want to lose loads of length form. I just want to, again, just make it look as though it's meant to be cut like this. And just strengthen it up a little bit for him as well. He's a little bit wispy at the bottom, so nice and club cut. Keep that length in there. That down. Point cut into that. Cut into a little bit, just get rid of some of them little curls. As we get to the top as well, a nice short guide, which is what we're looking for. There we go, at the top there. Just take them little wispy ends off like that. So we're still keeping some of the flick, it just isn't as wild as it was before. And then we just cut into this little bit here as well. Make it nice and sporadic like that. Now through the sides, I want to strengthen these bits up as well. So the perimeter on here, I want to keep to the longest point. So that looks like that bit and that bit look like the longest point, like the most uniform. So I'm going to take this little tiny bit off here. Just a bit, because we need to strengthen these bits up because they're so dry and so wispy. They'll probably just snap off anyway. And the last thing you want is damaged hair. So I'm going to cut them in a little bit. Make sure that hair's coming over the ear. Like that. There we go. Same this side as well. Look for the common length there and there. So you can see everything so far is balancing from one side to the other. There we go. Perfect. Now let's work onto the side blends now. So let's make this haircut look nice and tidy. The best way we do that is taking the side blends, so coming from the temple down to the top of the ear and trimming them down. So I always tend to do a little bit of clipper over comb on them. Take as much length off as we possibly can to make it look nice and neat. Like so. And then just cut it to the ear. So if Kai does want to wear this back around his ears to make it kind of get it out of his face and whatnot, it looks nice and neat. Like so. It's a nice, easy way of making a longer haircut look tidy by doing that. So as he tucks around his ear, looks nice and tidy on there. Same thing again on this side. There we go. Now, Another good way to make the neckline look nice and tidy is to get rid of the neck hair. Now, for guys, a lot of the time is what makes a collar look untidy is because of all the neck hair. So what we do, comb out the way, and as you comb the hair to the hairline, you'll see the unnecessary, unwanted hair that you don't need. And what I tend to do, just work it up and then just almost like clip over comb, taper it out of the way, like so. I'm not cutting into his hairline, just get rid of all the neck hair. There is Kai's hairline, and I'm not working into it, okay? Same here. There you go. Now, look at this side line. That's how the neckline of Kai's looks now. That side there. Looks really nice. Whereas if you look at it with all the neck hair, it looks untidy, doesn't it? You know? And I'm going to razor around the hairline now as well. This is a really good way of like thinning out the hairline without like kind of making it look like too chunky, if that makes sense. I always find adding a razor to this, because we can really pick out what we want. We can just pick out the exact bits we want to thin out or we want to remove or whatever we want to do. So what we do with the razor, I look for the bits that I want to just sort of pick out myself. I want to trim this little bit down here. I'm going to trim that. I want to split this up here a bit more, so I'm just going to work into it like that. That's the way the teeth are designed as well. It's not one straight blade, so you're not taking like a line, not creating chunks. And as you can see now, hairline's looking a lot more natural. Same this side. A little bit there. There we go. Now I'm not going to do any more razor work until we cut the top. So what we do now is do exactly what we said at the start. We just connect it into the sides. Okay. So taking a finger width in section, you can see there, roughly a finger. Because obviously we're taking a lot more length off the top now. We pull this out and we connect it to this part here at the very front. There we go, there's our guide. We pull it straight out, drop it a little bit because you want to maintain some length up there. Just enough that we start to connect in the top there. There we go. Same again, about a finger. Okay, pull it out. And see that fringe was really disconnected. Which you don't really need that disconnection there at all. You've got enough length in that fringe now to still be able to do stuff with it.
So you don't think the classic 80s Peter Andre style would work for me then, do you?
Have you got a waterfall in your back garden? If you have, then yeah. If you don't, then no. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I never try and push something that I instantly don't think works. It works on some, doesn't work on others. I think you definitely suit it more off center. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people who will comment on this video and agree with you or you know disagree with me. But again, it's just down to personal opinion half the time, you know. If you like it, we can still cut it in. You can still wear it in that way. At least it'll be more balanced this time around.
Yeah,
if you do fancy it, you know.
No, I do really like the side pattern. I wear that most days.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
For work and things. Try do my best to smart it.
Yeah. Of course. I think the thing is as well. Obviously, it was parting in the centre because it was just too much longer than everywhere else. Yeah. But again, that's because obviously you've grown out. It's going to be like that. But now you've got it completely balanced. Like we were saying, the whole purpose of this cut is to allow you to grow it more. It but also is to allow you to have a style whilst you're growing it. I think that's the key element really is that it looks good now as well as it's going to look good in the future as well, you know. Hold this out, matching up to the furthest point on the sides, just there. Remember guys, don't worry if you see a lot of hair coming through because you're following your guide. Just don't worry about it, okay? It's very easy to panic when you see a lot of hair come through, but we all know that we're following our guide and that maybe the previous haircut was maybe a bit more asymmetric than what you noticed at the start. You know, as long as you're following your guide, you're on the right track.
Who didn't want to be Peter Andre growing up?
Yeah, well, mate, I know exactly. I did always want the curtains. I could never, my hair never got long enough to have them, unfortunately. I always had a shaved head. My mum got my head shaved when I was about 5 and it just stayed like that for the longest time, really. It was surprising that I even became a barber because I was never interested in my hair at all growing up. So, but again, generations, isn't it? You know, both my boys, one's 10 and one's 4. They both love their hair, which, you know, I don't know if it's anything to do with me, but it's definitely a generational thing for sure. Which is great. I'm made up to do. They'll never have to pay for a haircut in their life as well, so they don't realise how lucky they are, do they? You know. There we go. So we just connect the back in. That's literally it. You could go a lot more to town if you wanted to, but don't forget the end result is length. The end result is not texture, it's not shape. We've created a nice shape. See the way it balances a lot more now? We've created a nice shape. We've made it look as though it's meant to be cut like this. You could always add the razor to it if you wanted to now to add more texture. I don't think it needs it though. I think if you look at this angle here, Liam, I think if you look at the way that's fallen, just because of the density of Kai's hair, that's fallen very nice. If I add razor texture to this now, I think it might look a bit too messy. So I think I'm looking at the way the section and pattern's done. It's working, it's looking nice. So I take the fringe down a touch more, and I think we're done. Maybe take the middle down a touch as well. I'll just check the middle, but I think I'm just going to do primary shape, and I think that will create a nice secondary shape for Kai as well. So let's take this point off. There we go. As we pull it down, match up to the sides. There we go. There we go. Now, our final sections to the top. We pick it up, we have our nice point. There we go. Just remove a little bit of that length there, just so it falls a bit more even. There we go. Now, let me just show you how to sort of create a nice style with this as well. I want to show you a really easy style, okay? It does involve heat, but that's, you know, this is more about what you can do with it if you're going to use a hairdryer. You don't have to. You could just put a little bit of product through, like a clay or a paste or something, and just let it dry naturally if you felt like. But if you want to really do a little bit of something to it, it's only going to take you about 3 minutes. It's really, really easy, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little bit of thickening tonic through it. This is the label M. Just because the longer your hair is getting, the finer it's becoming. Not necessarily like the density or anything like that is going fine. It's just because the longer it is, the more it's binding together, okay? Yeah. Generally happens. Now, I'm going to spray some thickening tonic through this, and then just wet my fingers through it as well. Now, when we apply heat, it's going to swell. It's going to make it thicker. So you'll find that the style will feel a lot thicker too. But I'm just going to use my fingers, okay? I'm not going to use a brush. I want to show you how easy this is to do. So it's our bank holiday weekend this weekend. So if you do want to make a bit more of an effort than just leaving it to dry naturally, hairdryer, bit of thickening spray, or even a salt spray if you've got one, or a texture spray. High heat, high speed. And just make sure you're using the nozzle to help you. The nozzle should be aimed to push that hair back, okay? If you haven't got a nozzle on, it'll just blow it all over the place. So try and if you've got a hairdryer with a nozzle, that'll be perfect, okay? If you haven't, Amazon next day delivery. You'll be fine. Prime. Let's use our fingers like that. Just running my fingers through your hair. Okay? Picking out the back a little bit, running my fingers through it, just like that. And I'm going to dry it from one side to the other, and then the other side to this side. So from right to left, and then left to right. And that just helps to break up the natural growth pattern. So it won't completely get rid of it, but it'll just help a little bit, okay? And we do finish off with some cold air, and that will stop any frizz. It also sets the style a little bit more, add a nice shine to the hair as well. Closes up the hair shaft itself, and then when you apply product, it stops it from melting as well. Yeah. And that is the finish you can get as it is. So can you see how much bigger it looks, how much more thicker it looks? Obviously you apply product on there and that will flatten it down, but that's what you're looking for. You always want to go big to start with, and then the product will soften it down, okay? But how is the length looking though? Is it looking okay for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. See the way the flicks are a little bit less?
Yeah.
But you've still got a lot of length still in there. I'll show you the back as well.
They're definitely quite noticeable really on the front of the flicks.
What's that, sorry?
The flicks, they're coming like almost a bit too noticeable.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. That's how it sits now. So you've still got a lot of length in there. The sides are exactly the same. Yeah. We haven't even touched the sides, okay? We've literally just balanced them into the back. So you see you've still got that nice sweep. The side bends make it look longer as well, make it look nice and tidy. But then taking away them flicks, you've still got them. They're just a bit more tame, I would say.
That looks really, I really like how it's blended in.
Looks nice, doesn't it? You wouldn't think you hadn't had the sides touched, because everywhere else has been taken in, right?
Yeah.
And then the top just falls into, the top's not overly short, but it's just a lot more balanced into everywhere else. Looks nice, doesn't it? And that's just a little bit of thickening tonic. You could, you know, if you want to, you put a bit of hairspray on that and leave it if you really wanted to. But you can also add on maybe a cream or a paste or a clay, whatever you prefer to go for. I'd stay away from anything pomade based, okay? Because it might just make it too heavy and too. You could always, I mean, if you're going to slick it, go for maybe more of an oil-based pomade, but very like minimal of it, just to get it, just to slick it maybe from the front or something. But I just think with your hair being a slightly finer texture, it would just flop and drop really, which I don't know if that would be something you want to go for or not. I don't know, but personally, I wouldn't suggest it. But again, it's just a purely opinion-based. Like it's whatever look you like to go for. But would you like a little bit of product in just to give it a bit more something to it? Yeah.
What do you think? I'm heading to a party after this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let me put a little bit of styling powder in this. Okay. I think that'd be a good one for you. All right. Like so, till it comes out, and then just tap, and then just run your fingers through your hair like this. Now the hold is a medium to strong hold, so you get shape, you get texture, you get movement, you get separation, which is good. But all it will do is just show off the haircut. But it's just very, very minimal. It looks like you've got nothing in your hair whatsoever. You can just see that it's giving you a little bit of something else. As you can see, it's just got a bit more balance to it as well. So all that will do, it will just show off basically what we've been trying to achieve. Just the structure to the haircut now. You look like you've got an element of style to the haircut, which you have now, more than it just being grown out. Yeah. And it just gives you a little bit more something going on. Yeah. Nice, isn't it? Yeah. Cool, man.
Thanks.
You're very welcome, mate. Thank you. Can you see?
Yeah, it actually looks like really styled.
Yeah.
On there.
Yeah, just down here. Yeah. Yeah. You don't have a mullet anymore.
Yeah, it looks. I'm really impressed. That's kind of in my head. That's what I was hoping was going to happen.
It's going to look like, yeah.
Yeah, like a bit more styled and stuff.
That's good. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I mean when I was saying like you're going to have to like kind of enjoy the flicks because you're still going to have them there. Yeah. They'll still appear. Yeah. It's just until you get down to like for the time being, while you're growing the sides out, you want to make sure the sides balance with the back, and that's a good way of doing it when you pull everything back into this bit here. Yeah. There comes a point when you can't take the back up too short because then it looks out of balance with everywhere else. It can almost look like a bit of a bob. So you want to then, that's when you start to grow everything at that point, and you start taking a bit more length off the top. So the top becomes the shortest length and the back and sides become longer. And you just keep going from there. Yeah. It's like a little kind of, it is a process. It's just like, I'll take a bit from here, but make sure it all balances. I'll take a bit from here, make sure it all balances. And that's the process. You could just leave it, like, but if you don't want to just leave it, you want to enjoy the process. Every sort of 12 weeks, maybe 3 months, 12 weeks, come back in and get it sorted. That's what I'd always suggest.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay.
Cool. Let's do after shot.